Hello, everyone. It's Kim from K&RP here on a Friday evening. Normally, I stream at 12:45, but I was away today. Had a date with my daughter. We went and checked out the Leaf. It's a new conservatory in Winnipeg, and it is fantastic. Those of you who live in Winnipeg, please don't hesitate to check it out. It's really well worth the money you spend to get in. It's currently 0 degrees Celsius with a -4 wind chill factor, and we have a snowfall warning. Yes! So that means it's 32 Fahrenheit and 25 with the wind chill factor. So today I'm going to go through using my homemade texture paste. Hey Pam, nice to see you. I have never really I have used texture paste in the past, but I've always made my own and always been different recipes. And so I tried a new recipe and I'm really happy with it. So I'm going to show you that. I'm just going to quickly show my last 2 days of the 100-day creative challenge on Beth Schuler's channel. She's doing a envelope. Hi, Jean Peter. She's doing an envelope pocket swap. So she's got different ways of joining the envelopes together, and this is what I did. And that was my day 15 of my 100-day challenge, and I decorated it using a prompt card. So it's an interesting piece. So that's going out in the swap in Beth Schuler's. Awesome, Pam. I'm not selling anything today, which is a good thing, maybe. And then day 16, I decided to do a heart journal like Janet Nash has done on her channel. She does part of the second top of the heart when she did it. I did it this way, but it does produce a big, beautiful heart for me to, it's going to be very interesting to decorate. I'm looking forward to that. So those are my last 2 days of the 100-day challenge. And on P&M Artist Studio, they do a Frugal Friday. Today's Frugal Friday was texture paste. I wrote the article for it. So I'm just going to get into it. The recipe is below on the description box. It's baking soda, glue, white glue. I use Elmer's white glue and some white acrylic paint, a little bit of water. I needed texture paste because I was doing Janet Young's scavenger hunt and it called for use texture paste. So I made this up in January and it is still lovely. Absolutely lovely. It's creamy, it's smooth, a little thicker than I would possibly like, but that's easy enough to look after. You just dip your stick in water and mix it in, and it helps smooth it out. But because it's baking soda, it doesn't have quite all the toxic chemicals. I'd looked at some at Michael's, and I couldn't believe what was in there. I certainly wouldn't want. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Not into chemicals. And this is cheap. Everybody's got baking soda, a tablespoon of glue, tablespoon of paint, a little bit of water. And it makes lots. As I say, I did this in January. It's still good. And I have used it. So what I did with this texture paste is I put it through a stencil because I had to use, let's put it, if I'm not on screen, please yell. I know I won't hear you, but please yell at me. I used it through a stencil on the cover. Hey, Brenda. And then I used it also through a stencil in the middle of the journal. Just some little hearts. Since then, I have used it on corner tucks in other journals. I have used it on tags. I have used it on some journal cards. Cheap, easy, and I really do like the way it works. So as I say, I did this in January. It's still nice and creamy. I don't know how well you can see that. It's thick, so it's going to be, you know, nice, spreadable. I just like it. Anyway, so let's try it through a stencil. I grabbed a journal card and I grabbed this stencil. It's got some leopard spot things, I guess they are. So let's try some leopard. You know what? Maybe we'll just try dots. I don't know. Ideas, anyone? Stars? Let's do stars. Stars are always a favorite. This is a very thin stencil, so this isn't going to be overly raised much, but it will. Hey, Joni. Nice to see you. We'll just use these stars. So I don't have a clean palette knife for some reason. I was looking for one, and for some reason there isn't a nice palette knife kicking around here. So I figured since we're doing Frugal Friday, let's use a popsicle stick. So I'm just going to put it on and put it over the stencil as you would any other texture paste that you paid lots and lots of money for. And the thing too is if you make your own and you try it and you like it, if then you want to buy the more expensive texture paste, you'll at least know what you like. So I think that worked out pretty darn good. Got a little bit of run over because I wasn't overly careful about where I put it. But they're just nice little textured stars. I don't know how well you can see the depth. And the other nice thing about this, it doesn't take that long to dry. I'm really, really happy about that. So as I say, baking soda, glue, a little bit of paint, touch of water just to smooth it out if that's what you want it a little rougher or not. But you get half a cup of texture paste for pennies. Pennies. I didn't work out the cost because everybody pays a different price for their baking soda. This I happened to get at one of our bulk stores, so I buy a big bag of it, and it's really cheap. I use it for cleaning and everything, right? It's baking soda. Just a wonderful addition in anybody's house. Now, I want to show you the way I do it. I had a plastic bag, folks. There it is. So I'm going to put some in a, hey, Anne. Just showing my mucky texture paste. So I'm going to put some in this plastic. Oh, look, I broke the stick. Muscles. Anyway, I'll grab another stick. I had more sticks here too. Really, I was organized, folks. I really was organized before I started today. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to put some in this plastic bag. You can see how nice and creamy it is. It just rolls beautifully. Then I'm going to just take some regular acrylic crafters deco art. And I'm just going to put 1 or 2 drops in here and mix it in. 1, 2. I just want to color it slightly. So you're just going to mush it up and just add more paint if you want a deeper color. I guess it depends on what you're working on. Like if it was that green journal that I just did, I would use green paint. I'm going to add a little bit more because I think that's far pale for what I'd like. 2 more drops. 1, 2. Was I on camera? Sort of. My hand blocking it. Yeah, I wrote the article for Anne, and we had the discussion. She says frugal, I say I'm just cheap. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it modeled like that even. It'll come out kind of marbly. I'm going to squeeze it down to the bottom. And I'm going to treat it like icing. You know how when you pipe icing, I'm going to just twist the bag. Of course, you could put more in the bag. And I'm just going to snip the littlest bit off this corner with a pair of scissors. And I mean just a little bit. Okay. So you can see it's going to come out nice. In fact, that's quite a big hole. Maybe I should have just used a pin. So then you're just going to pipe it like you would icing. Steady pressure on the bag to keep it flowing. It was a little thick at the beginning because I didn't have a good control. It takes practice, but that's okay. I can take a toothpick. That I do know I have right here. And I can just touch it up, take a little bit off if I think it's too thick. Right? You just maneuver it the way you want it because you're the boss of it. So that'll dry really nice and solid. Let's not put it in the wet stuff. If you make the hole really, really nice and small, oh no, what did I do with that? I did have a sample of it. If you do the hole really nice and small, like use a darning needle or something, you can get a really, really fine line, almost like a crochet cotton line on things. And so if you outline something, what I have done in the past with other texture pastes I've made, I have a light box and I find something that's really nice and swirly. And then I put a piece of paper over that, use the texture paste on top of it, let it dry, and then I just chop it up and use it for corner tucks and stuff in my journals. And that's the magic of my texture paste. Wasn't overly exciting, fast, simple, and because I didn't have to mix it. Let's see if I can move it to the other corner and just use a pin. Yeah, I've seen lots of people using texture paste. When I did it in the past, I always used drywall mud because I had free access to drywall mud. So I used a mixture of drywall mud and glue and paint. But I like the fact that if I can use baking soda or what did she say? Baby powder, cornstarch. Somebody else posted that she uses cornstarch the same way. So really, if you can use baking soda or cornstarch, why do you want to buy something that could be really toxic? Okay, I have lots of big needles. I've got this big tapestry needle here. Hey, Laura, how are ya? So I'm just going to poke a hole in this point. The hole's in the point. Clean that off, put it away. Let's see how nice a thin line I can get. And if you had a cheap cake decorating kit with all the different tips, you could do like mint kind of, those candied mints and things. But I'm just going to look how nice and thin that line is. Oh, I went the wrong way. It squeezed out the other side. We don't want that. Let's twist it. Let's twist it. Okay, Anne. Okay, so Maybe the hole's just a little small for this. Wants to come. Let's put the toothpick. There we go. There we go. The toothpick worked. Just trying to see where the hole is. Still wants to flow backwards on me. Maybe I'm going to put just a couple of drops of water in and mix it, because I have had this flow really nice in the past, because I have piped it, and it did pipe out of that bigger hole very nicely. And I don't understand why it's not doing the small hole as nicely. All right. Come on. Trials and errors, trials and errors. Come on. Oh, there we go. So let's just do another squiggly line. Look how nice and thin that is. So, of course, you have to practice and get your pressure, and probably more in the bag. I was just using a little bit just to demonstrate. But can you see how really nice and thin? And as I say, if you had, say, a circle glued down and you went around the circle, it would give it a nice frame. Doodling with texture paste, exactly. That would be very, very interesting. Even if when you're doodling and you have a section, just section it off kind of thing. And because you can add paint colors to it, you could do it any color you like. You could leave it just the white. This is just about dry, actually, already. I can touch it, and it's not really smeary. But I can feel that it's still soft underneath. Plant stems, if you're doing a garden scene, fence posts, if you wanted to do stitching around a card that you wanted to look like stitching, that would be very interesting, doing the texture paste stitches. Whoop. Once you've got the hang of it and how much pressure, just going to take a little bit of practice. And of course, I would have a bigger bag with a little bit more, or definitely more in the bag, so that you could get a better grip. It does almost look like an American flag. But I mean, even with a stencil, let's find another hunk of something to put this on. Do. Reach into the bin. Okay, we'll use this. Let's try and outline the flower. There's not much left in here, but I can always add more. I can add more. But with this, just limited by your imagination, really, guys, like anything else. And it makes so much. The only thing I suggest is if you're using a food grade bag, don't use it for food after. Please throw it out. Even though it's baking soda, it does have acrylic paint and glue in it. Don't ask me to frost a cake. And again, I'm just going to throw some burgundy acrylic in there. And because it's white, you come out with a pink. So, just adding more than the 2 drops I was adding. Pink isn't. I like that color. This isn't a big favorite. So I'm just going to push things back from those 2 holes so that nothing's coming out of the 2 holes. And I'm just going to knead it up, mix it up. Oh, look, it wasn't sealed. How to make a mess with Kim. Oh my. Well, who cares? It's just some paint. It'll wash. I will wash. That's the thing. My skin is washable. So what have you guys been up to today? I went to an absolutely amazing conservatory in Winnipeg. I promised to take my daughter there for Christmas. So she had a day off work today, so we did that. And they have a tropical garden, a Mediterranean garden, and a butterfly garden. So it was fabulous. I took pictures of darn near every leaf in there. And her and I are going to go back and we're going to sketch. Oh, I'm just dripping everywhere. Sketch the leaves. And there was somebody there who'd taken not a chessboard, a cribbage board. So her and her mom were playing crib, sitting at a table under all this greenery. And it was just, we're expecting a snowstorm. We've got a snow warning. So cleaning house, I did that yesterday. My next door neighbor is moving, and I'm very sad about it. She is downsizing and moving, and she used to foster kids, so she's giving me so many craft supplies now. I'm going to have to video every day to use them. Touch of food poisoning. Oh, no. Okay, so that's the big hole on that side, obviously. And we want the little hole, so we want to go over this side. Yes? No. That's the big hole. Put it back and go the other way. Oh, tomorrow evening, that's going to be so nice. Well, the nice colored stuff is just oozing out the other end and blopping down. I'm putting my glasses up my face. Let's see how much of this purple stuff I can get on my face. Grab a piece of paper towel. Let's wipe some of this stuff up before I get it everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Not that it matters. Oh, nice. I noticed on the email, not the email, the message that was sent out that boxes, Defy packages go out quarterly. If somebody could message me and give me the dates, I would love that so that I know when it's good to get stuff to Jean for said boxes. Oh, now we're going to have this issue again. Did you dry? You did. Okay, I'm going to try and outline this flower. Soup. I love soup. Okay, it wants to go this way. So the piping, once you've got it, you've done it a few times, you get the hang of it. Right now, everything's coming out the other end for me because I didn't have the bag sealed. And I'm squeezing, I'm going, Where's it going? Surprise. Was it tomato soup? Did you dunk? I love tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. Thank you, Jean. I'll get that other stuff to you this evening also. I'll work on that when I'm done making a mess. That's a comfort food for me too. Tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. Exactly. Exactly. I used to do those concrete leaves. You do a hill of mud and you cover it with a piece of plastic. Then you take a rhubarb leaf and you put it over the hill of mud so it's nicely shaped. And then you put concrete on top and some chicken wire and then more concrete. And my jeweler laughed because I'd taken my rings in to be cleaned, even, just a plain band. And he laughed and goes, I have never seen a wedding ring that is scratched on the inside like yours is. What do you do? And I went, stick my hands in cement. Which I suppose isn't really a good thing to do because it's sort of caustic. Okay, let's twist it so that it's closed. Okay, are you down at the bottom? Oh, yes, it is. Look, that's the big hole. We want it in the little hole. Other side. So we'll pinch that. Now I've got it in the total wrong hand because I'm not left-handed. Yeah, cement is toxic. But sometimes when you're creating, you get an idea and you got to just do it, right? Okay, this little hole is clogged again. But the cement rhubarb leaves are so gorgeous. We had one that we used for a bird bath for quite a while, and then it cracked because we didn't empty it and the water froze in the veins of the leaf. Okay. I can feel the dry stuff right at the end. I think I got it. I think I got it. I think I got it. See, it dries very fast. There. Oh, look. I have cool. You can see where the dry stuff was because I've got like a real ripply effect. So there's still a dry piece in there. But that's interesting, you know. Not sure that it'd be something I'd give to anybody, but it's fun to play with, fun to experiment with. And as you learn to control it, it works very, very nicely. Even adding all that extra burgundy, I'm still not a fan of that color. It's probably a little heavy for that flower, but you get the idea. It's just play. And the nice thing is this is just paper. To me, that's much more fun than a round of flour. And as I say, I let it dry. I usually do it just on a blank piece of paper. And then I cut them and use them as corner tucks in journals, bits of cards. That's true. I have decided now that it's totally play. I have not been selling since the pandemic started, and I am so much happier. You have no idea. I more productive now that I'm not worried about getting X number of things done for inventory for doing the shows or selling at the museum or online. I'm enjoying it so much more. So much more. I mean, granted, if somebody wanted to pay me for a journal, I wouldn't turn it down, but I don't. I'm not going out there and selling. Everything I had left over, pretty much from doing the museum and things, I donated to a friend of mine was had started a group for low income families in the city who even on social assistance it was hard. They have lots of kids, little food, that kind of thing. So they were matching families up with somebody who could get donations for them. Like they would post on different websites looking for uh, sheets and pillowcases, or say, and then whoever would donate to them, they would say it's for low income family in need. Whoever donated to them, they would then get it to the family who needed it. So I donated all my jewelry and everything that I had made, jewelry and bookmarks and little stuffed toys and everything. I said, if you think that this would be beneficial, that way they could actually come out to the person's vehicle, select what they want, like shopping with dignity instead of just getting a hamper at Christmas time where they actually got to choose things to put for stocking stuffers for their kids. Um, so I just donated everything I had. Everything I had, I gave to her. And I haven't looked back since. I make stuff, I send it away, I give it away, and it's just better, better, better for everybody. No pressure on me because I make what I want, what I like. And, you know, well, thanks, Laura. Yeah, me too. And I've got professional artist friends who do use their art to make a living. And they say, you can't do that. Like, if people think they can get it cheap from you or for nothing, then how am I going to make a living? And I just say, I make totally different stuff than you do. It's if they really want your stuff, they're going to buy it. And a lot of times at craft shows, you know how kids always come up and they always want everything on your table? I had a rule that if they sang me a song, they could have it. How often or whenever do you get to say, I got it for a song? It's just something I've always done. Much to many parents' dismay, because some of the things kids have got, I'm sure the parents kind of rolled their eyes at, but it's not like they spent money on it and the kid really wanted it and they worked for it. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now. So, these little stitches are still wet because I just smushed them. These are dry. Those were put through a stencil. This one is still soft in the middle, so it'll take a little bit. And I just did that one really, so I'm going to let that sit. Can, my hands are all covered in mucky, and I like that. I like these dots around the edge. It just adds a little something. But, fun stuff. Fun stuff. So I don't know if you guys are doing Janet M. Young's what's it called? Scavenger hunt. That's, like I say, that's where I first tried this kind of texture paste. Was, I made it to go on here. And this stuff, like I say, I made it in January. It's still working. Anything we want to do show and tell, play with? I did this one because Beth has been doing. Hey, Kellyanne. I did this one because Beth was doing the envelope pockets. So I decided to play along. I have these ugly green envelopes. Green is not my favorite color. So I figured since I had a stack of them, I would use them for that. And then I used a prompt card to decorate them. And my prompt cards are from 1 to 10. And then I roll a dice, and that's where I start. So this one I actually started on number 6, which is blue. So pattern and everything else came after putting images on. And yeah, it turned out, I think they turned out good. Used up all my little fish, made me happy. That's okay. I know, Kellyanne, green's your favorite color. I actually thought of you when I was making that silly thing. Challenges and swaps, I like them. I like them. I think it helps with that need I have for giving stuff away. I get stuff and I appreciate it, but I like sharing. I just like to share knowledge, things. This dry stuff on my hands is making a real mess. So, Kellyanne, I was just showing how if you do it, put just a really thin hole in the bag, you can just pipe this texture paste like you would icing. Ooh, it'd be really cute. Gingerbread men for Christmas, and then you ice them with texture paste. I could see where it's stressful. I could definitely see where it's stressful, Laura. But I only do them once in a while. It's not like I'm doing them every week. I have this enough stuff that I could do them every week. But because I'm in Canada and our shipping is ugly, it's, I don't do it. Plus, okay, back to coloring this stuff. I don't see why you couldn't use food coloring instead of paint because you add a little bit of water. So I think food coloring could work just as well. We could try it. Let's try it. I have a jug of watered down food coloring because I was dyeing paper with it. I was cleaning up down here because I was getting all those other art supplies that things have kind of gotten lost. Where are you, food coloring? Where did I put you? I must have put it someplace safe so I wouldn't spill it, which means I have no clue where it went. Well, that's not fun. Okay, so I can't try food coloring because I don't have any down here. And I'm not sure how an alcohol spray would mix with the glue and acrylic paint. It might separate. You know how when you're doing pours, if you use rubbing alcohol in one of the paints, because it dries faster, it gives that bit of a crackle effect. So I'm not sure that the paint, oh, there it is, food coloring. So it's watered down food coloring, but I'm sure we could work it. I'm just going to grab another plastic bag. Because I have lots, and they're just behind me. It's a bit bigger, but it's okay because this is cheap. So this is the texture paste that I made. I'm just going to take a blob and put it in the bag. As I say, somewhere in this conglomeration, I have a palette knife, like most others use. Someplace. And the only ones I could find were mucky ones. Okay, so I have a little medical syringe with no needle. It's what I was using to give my dog medication. So we don't want much water. So this is going to be very, very pale. But I just want to see if food coloring will work as well as paint. Just in case somebody doesn't have paint, right? Or if you've got, an ugly food coloring that you just want to use up. Okay, that's going to be way too pale. I think I would need straight food coloring, and that is upstairs. But the little bit of water that you add when you put it in the bag makes it really nice and smooth. And that's how it's going to pipe really nicely too, is when it's that little bit wetter, but you don't want it runny. If that makes any sense, thank you. If it doesn't, I don't know what. A rain curve? What's a rain curve? I don't know what a rain curve is. Can you explain what that is, Laura, please? Re-inker. Yes. Probably would. I have none. I make my own stamp pads as a rule with paint and felt and whatever. But last weekend I broke down and actually bought a stamp pad because I wasn't happy with the way my stamps were working. It was probably more me than anything else. Okay, so this is really nice and smooth. Twist it into the corner. But we know it's going to work because that's just water. It didn't color it. But as I say, if you've got like a cheap, you want the bubbles out, cheap old icing for icing cakes and things, that would probably work absolutely wonderfully. There's air at that tip. I used a toothpick that worked. Oh yeah. See? A little bit of water in it, and it just flows so smooth. My crummy mess. And you can even get a finer line when it's that little bit runnier air bubble. Come on. Look. How did I make the star? I put that through a stencil. I took a thick paste and I put a stencil down and just a popsicle stick kind of thing, and I put it through the stencil. Let's grab another piece of something here. Got a whole box full of somethings over beside me. They're supposed to be journal cards, but doing this with them is great because it's practice. And then what? It's practice, and they're used. And if I can cut them and use them for other things, bonus. If not, it'll be what it will be. So, as I was saying, I made this stuff in January, and it's still really nice. Oh, good night, Laura. Thanks for coming. So I just used these little stars that are here. Put the stencil down. Am I on screen? And just smeared this over it. Scraped it down. You could also use a bank card, whatever. I just am using this. And then you take the stencil off and you have lumpy little stars. So this could be used a multitude of ways. I don't know that I would try putting it down and putting a stamp on it. I'm not sure how well that would work. But I used a nice little floral one when I was working on my scavenger hunt journal. I've got these little floral daisy stencil, and I used it for the scavenger hunt. But I've done, various different stencils, and it works. And it makes lots. Like that recipe makes lots. It makes half a cup. And it's so cheap. But I really like how thin this is coming. So a little bit of extra water, Jean. And you could definitely doodle with this. Oh. Then when it stops, I realize it's a dry spot that didn't get quite moistened. Yeah, when it gets that, some of the dry stuff in the end, it kind of jams, but could have a lot of fun with it. This would work even nicer for the stitching because it's thinner. I did faux stitching along this edge. But because it's so whole new way of doing stitching. This isn't right at the point, this hole. Oh, there's a big dry thing in there. Anyway, it just takes a little bit of practice. Once you've been using it, you get the feel for it. It doesn't take long to get the feel for it. This could be fun to do some fireworks. You know how the these kind of lines. It's definitely something different. This one I tried outlining the petals on these flowers, but the hole was too big and the texture paste was really thick. So, as I say, a little bit more water. Oh, nice, Jean Peter and Joy. Have a wonderful evening. I'll get that stuff to you later this evening. So it's just fun and cheap. Enjoy your supper. Bye. My daughter and I had a nice lunch out today. We went for curry, so that was a nice treat. Her family eats curry, my husband does not. But as I say, it's just something different to add texture to your stuff. Yeah, it makes lots as long as you keep it sealed. That's right. That's right. Stencils work great for that. They do. And because this stencil is so thin, if you have a little bit thicker of a stencil, it depends on how much texture you want, right? Like even how thin that was, it still gives a really nice effect. A little bit thick in some places. If I had a palette knife or if I'd have scraped over it with a old card of some sort, or you know, you can smooth it out. I'm just playing here. But I really like the piping. And it's kind of satisfying. But I think I'd like to do some gingerbread men. I think that could be lots of fun. And I really like it because it's not toxic. Like I say, I looked at stuff at Michael's and the chemicals and stuff in them. It's like, no, I don't want that stuff in my house, let alone be probably dragging my hands through it. If you soak this does come off because it's baking soda and glue. It's not bad. The the recipe I put in the description box, it is half a cup of baking soda, a tablespoon of white glue, and a tablespoon of white acrylic paint. And you mix it up. And if it's too thick, you can add a little bit more glue, but I usually just add a few drops of water. And somebody had commented on the article that I wrote for P&M that they use cornstarch instead of baking soda. So I guess it depends on what you've got lots of in the house and what you find cheaper. Because I get my baking soda in big bags at our bulk barn, because I use it for cleaning and everything, I find the baking soda is just cheap enough for me to use instead of cornstarch. Like I say, if you had an old cake decorating kit or you got one at the dollar store, you could do those little um I guess they're rosettes they're called, where you they're like those little candy mints that you do like little stars or whatever. My desk is not clean in any way, shape, or form, is it? I didn't start with it clean. I've been having so much fun playing, and now I'm getting all these additional craft supplies that I have to try and find a home for, which is lovely. But when she first offered the those plastic drawer organizer things, they stand on the floor and they've got wheels and they've got 4 or 6 plastic drawers. She had 6 of them and she sold them to me for $5 each. But I didn't realize that all the supplies that were in the drawers came with them. She didn't say that. So I was really excited and I gave her the money for them and hopes that I would come home and organize this. And I've got more stuff to organize. I appreciate it. I got lots of paint, like a whole one full of paint, which we know I'll use. But I've got stickers and glue and scrapbook paper and coloring books. She used to be a foster mom, and she's been a foster mom for over 20 years. So she's got like lots of kid supplies. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate it. And it's stuff that I use, but I'm definitely going to go through it and see if a local daycare would like some of it because there's so much. Neither is yours. Oh, neither recipe for the texture paste. What do you put in your texture paste, Cal? Oh, that's not clean. Yeah. Well, I'm doing that 100-day challenge. I'm working on the scavenger hunt. I got intrigued by that journal thing and the swap or the pocket envelope pockets that Beth is doing. So I'm doing that now. I just did this stuff. I sent off a bunch of stuff to both Jean Peter and Care at Defy for various things. Plus my own craft group on Facebook. We've been doing daily prompts. So I put a prompt down. You use the same paper for 7 days and you follow the prompts. It's just to get the creative juices going a little bit because I've noticed that so many people don't show their work on my group. They don't really participate much. So I'm trying to engage them a little bit more. Jan is engaged and I've got one other person that's semi engaged. But like every day I put a prompt down, started with 15 green lines, 6 pink circles, and it just kind of went from there. So we do it 7 days, 7 prompts on one piece of paper. So doing that every day, and then I was nominated to do that a picture a day, 10 pieces of artwork. Yeah, I don't know why I agree to all this stuff. Keeps me out of trouble. And I'm having fun. Don't get me wrong, I'm definitely having fun. So have you not put your stuff through a stencil? Oh yeah, you did because you said you had to stencil it. Yeah, Miriam posts. Miriam is wonderful for posting. I was going to post in yours this morning. I did Beth's, and I did mine to say that I wasn't streaming until this evening. And then my daughter was here to pick me up, and I had to go. So it was on the list, but I didn't get home until maybe half an hour before I started streaming. And then it was mad dash to make room enough to play with this. I guess maybe once our groups grow and stuff. I have to admit I've took so many pictures at that conservatory today, Kellyanne. Hokey Dinah. I just want to make leaves. The leaves really, really intrigued me. So now it's like I just want to cut up a whole bunch of papers and make leaves. Strange. Ordering your food? Yeah. Well, it has been an hour. I don't really have anything else to say about the texture paste. So I'll just say, you made lots of leaves yesterday? Nice. I used up all my fish, all my little fish that I had. I between doing those little gone fishing tags I did a few days ago, and then I had fish on my prompt card. I've used them all up, so I have to make fish. I don't do die cuts. I hand cut 99% of my stuff. Circles I'll punch. I used my die cutter this week, so I've got butterflies and things. But I don't often use die cuts. But leaves are fun. I don't know if I've got a punch for maple leaf, but I don't think I've got die cuts for leaves. Anyway, thanks much, and I really appreciate you guys coming and checking it out. And I hope it just gives you more ideas to play creatively, because if you're like me, you have to play. And the more stuff you have to play with, the better. Thank you again. And I won't be streaming on Tuesday because I have a dentist appointment. So maybe I'll do that earlier in the morning, early, whatever. Anyway, have a good night, and we will talk very soon. Bye.